The Paris La Défense Arena in the City of Lights, SX1 Race 2. Jet Lawrence, your winner in Race 1 from Malcolm Stewart, Cooper Webb, Hunter Lawrence and Tom Vial. The 5-second board turns now. Gates drop now. Who gets the good advantage? Well, Jet Lawrence moves across on Mookie Stewart and up the inside, trying to muscle his way through, just like he did in Race 1. Cooper Webb on the number 1 on the Yamaha. But it is Jet Lawrence who leads in Race 2. Stewart just behind him. Hopefully he's got whatever issues he had that he thought were problematic after Superpole fixed this time around.
Yeah, I would think so. And really it's the uncertainty for Malcolm in Race 1 that I think was the concern. I'm really curious to see how this race shapes up. We haven't seen these two go head-to-head so much yet, and I felt like Malcolm had a little bit more pace in Race 1, but now he's going to have his opportunity to show us.
Hunter Lawrence down there behind Escoffier as he battles in and around sort of the lower end of the pack there, but it's Jet Lawrence who leads the way from Malcolm Stewart. Will he pop the quad here down this back straight? If he gets this perfect, decides not to. And if he does, and if Malcolm Stewart is close enough to see that, will he pop it next time around and think, yeah, man, that looks so easy, I'll just pop it as well? Always a risk to do something in the race for the first time, but Jet Lawrence did exactly that in that first race. But look at Malcolm Stewart. You said he was probably the fastest rider in Race 1, JT. He's looking to prove that here, a little bit up and down and offline there in the whoops, but the commitment from Malcolm Stewart, absolutely next level.
And Malcolm's bike, honestly, just looks like it's working a little bit better with the racetrack. You see Malcolm do a different rhythm quad there, but he's able to find more traction. You see kind of Jet stepping out, and he's trying to be aggressive, and the bike's just not really as, there it is, there's the quad.
Oh!
Malcolm has just looked like he's been glued to the racetrack more all weekend. It can be a lot of things. It can be settings, it can be the frame geometry, it can be the frame metallurgy. There can be a lot of things. It just has been kind of the theme of the weekend.
Whereas Supercross, he's in 5th place at the moment, but Jet Lawrence now just over a second clear. He's got the measure of Mookie over the whoops at the moment, speed-wise. But it's definitely a different Jet Lawrence we're seeing racing today.
Yeah, and Malcolm's really shifted permanently to this 2-3-4-1 line. I don't know if it's quicker. You know, they have so many tools now, video, and I don't know if they have their Darkfish technology set up necessarily for this weekend, but they would be able to game that out and know exactly,
there you go, down
to the 10th what's the quickest option.
So Mookie would have seen that firsthand. He may have seen it on video. He's definitely seen it for real this time around. Be interesting to see how he reacts to that, because you can be slightly quicker through the whoops more often than not, but when you have that gain and then you've got that quad, what is the difference? 3-4 tenths?
Yeah, and you just wonder, like, Malcolm's probably thinking, like, I don't really need to do that.
Yeah.
You know, Jet's not in contention to win this thing, and Malcolm's honestly kind of been fast enough.
Oh,
there he goes. Yeah.
Right behind him. Yeah. Perfect.
And really, like, we were kind of talking about that. When I watched Jet do it in the first race, it didn't look like a jump that was difficult. As long as you caught the downside, you just give it everything you got, as Jet said, and you're there, especially if Malcolm has his full race bike here, which I don't know if he does.
Yeah.
The landing there, you see they're even clipping it a little bit. It's kind of forgiving. So on a technical level, difficulty-wise, big, yes, but not that challenging as far as technical. It's more of the fear of coming up short is really the technical level.
Yeah. So 4.5 minutes plus a lap to go. This second 8-minute plus lap race here in Paris. The 13-minute plus a lap race, the final race, a little later on this afternoon to wrap things up. And it's Malcolm Stewart, who's in the driving seat at the moment, who 3 wins yesterday, on course for 2 seconds today. Been so very consistent and looking to become the first brother combination to win the King of Paris, because James Stewart was victorious in 2008. The original Bercy Stadium. Not too far from Notre Dame, actually, just down the river. But 350 to go, plus a lap. Jet Lawrence doing what he does, just managing the situation perfectly. But yesterday, a different story, obviously. Crashing in Superpole, crashing in turn 2 at the start of the race when Tom Vial got a little bit wayward on him in turn 2, took him out. And then, of course, he had that moment where he looked like he folded the front in the final race. So just after setting the fastest lap of the race, and that cost him as well. So this weekend, and day 2, sorry, just a completely different Jet Lawrence.
I'm kind of trying to figure out, he doesn't get the quad that lap. I'm trying to figure out what happened to Hunter. He's back in 6th. pretty far back from the Vial, even Suberas group, so I'm not sure if he had an issue on the first lap or still feeling the effects of yesterday's crash.
Cooper Webb there in third. Tom Vial a few bike lengths behind in that fourth position. Then Cedric Suberas a bit further back. Then, yeah, Lawrence, just Hunter Lawrence, just maybe a little bit now, just starting to feel the effects of that crash in the whoops yesterday.
Yeah, and his times are pretty quick. He's nowhere near the leaders, but, I mean, he's doing 45, which is quicker than all the riders in front of him. So, I don't know, maybe just something something happened off camera that we didn't quite see.
Yeah. But also, again, you know, now you're thinking any chance of a real kind of podium is kind of out the window and stuff. We've got Australia, we go home tomorrow evening on a plane, get back Wednesday morning, a day to recover, and then you're probably straight into media, and then the Australian Supercross there in Melbourne. So just get through this one and show up healthy next week. Maybe that's the mindset there. But Jet Lawrence, when you pull a whole shot, you're expected to win. But Malcolm Stewart making it very difficult for him this time around. Yeah,
and I think Jet, you know, he's getting out front. For Hunter, what you can't do is make a difficult situation worse, which you were alluding to. So if things aren't going very well, you don't want to press the issue here. But Jet looks like his normal self here. Is he A1 level ready? Probably not, but you see him, he's not making all the mistakes that he seemed to be making yesterday. Looks a little bit more comfortable.
Jet Lawrence eyeing up a podium. Look, he's only 3 points behind Suberas as it stands right now for that third overall. Not what he came here for. That was just a moment ago coming out of that turn after the whoops down the start straight. It cost him a little bit of time. Malcolm Stewart, minute and a half to go, plus a lap. Lap times last time around, Jet Lawrence 44.4, 45.1 for Mookie. Malcolm Stewart not going to give up the fight here, though, is he? You sense?
No, and I don't think Malcolm's taking any outside risk. I think this is just the pace he's been running all weekend, and Jet has kind of finally found it, if that makes sense, because if you look at the gaps, everything else is consistent. They're putting what'll be 10 seconds into Webb. That's been pretty much the norm. I think Jet has just kind of gotten back to his normal self, and now he's on the level with Malcolm.
Yeah. You probably didn't think you'd say that.
I mean,
Jet on the level of Malcolm.
Well, I was talking about this earlier today. I really don't like drawing conclusions from off-season races.
Yeah.
Larry Ward would be a multi-time Supercross champion if that were the case. Like, that is, these races are unique. The dynamics are different. They come in a strange part of the season. The dirt's different. The tracks are different. But none of that should discount how great Malcolm has been as he closes up to the rear of Jet. So it can be its own thing without saying, well, this is what we saw, and we're going to see this in 2026 because of it.
Yeah. Race one. Final lap, Jet Lawrence got held up behind a couple of back markers that allowed Mookie to close in on him. And we're in a similar situation here, aren't we? Back marker territory with Jet Lawrence as we go into the final couple of laps, because obviously time's still on the clock as they hit the line last time around. They'll take the one lap, the white flag next time. Back marker holds a nice tight line there, stays out of Malcolm Stewart's way. Ooh, lucky there. That was planned, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he's been cutting back and using that inside 2, 3, 4.
So over the Milwaukee wall jump through turn 1. More traffic ahead of Jet Lawrence, and he quads anyway. Big move that for Lawrence with a back marker ahead of him. And the Valentin. And then he puts that back marker between him and Stewart as we go into the final lap. Look, white flag on the outside. Right-hand side as a takeoff on the finish line jump.
Yeah, I don't think you'll see Malcolm do anything too crazy here.
1.2 seconds the gap. And Jet Lawrence, efficient in race 1, equally so in race 2.
Really nice line by Jet there, wheeling into the sand there and saving him some time.
Would you say, in terms of given the situation, not on his race bike, and given what happened yesterday, Lawrence doing just enough to stay ahead of Malcolm, or do you think it's a pretty close run thing with the way that Malcolm is riding, keeping him honest?
Oh, I think he's pushing.
Yeah.
Jet's pushing here. Look at the gaps they're putting into everybody else. They're 14 seconds up on Webb now.
And all these races, even someone like Malcolm Stewart, as the flag goes out, Jet Lawrence wins it. Race 2 in the books. Jet Lawrence going 1-1 so far. Massive confidence boosts in terms of races and where Malcolm Stewart's at, you know, going into the continuation of off-season prep ahead of Anaheim 1 in January. Webb 16 seconds down in third place. But yeah, what a turnaround for Jet Lawrence, but Malcolm Stewart still as consistent as he was yesterday. Just had that stumbling block of Jet Lawrence ahead of him, but Lawrence hasn't walked away from it and walked away from him. He's kept him honest, he's kept him on his toes, and that will be an interesting sort of final race, especially when it's 13 minutes plus a lap later on.
And they were doing 44. They were almost on their best.